So I have a couple of poems. I'm going to do one now, and I guess I'll do one after Joanna. But this first one is a little bit darker, so forgive me. I may modify a thing or two. Hi, nice to see you in the front row. But you know what? I was looking through my phone back there thinking, should I switch it up? And then the Lord said, no, because somebody may need to hear this. And it's really encouraging, I think, I hope. The second one is very encouraging, so I'll be excited to share that one. For sure. Revelations tells us that our testimony, the story we tell about ourselves, is really our primary weapon for taking down the enemy. It's really what we have to take down the enemy, is our own story. And so if we sit on our story, or if we bury our story, or if we're afraid of our story, then we're giving the enemy leverage. And we ought not do that because he's crafty enough. So our testimony becomes our weapon. This poem is called The Echo. And I don't have it committed to memory yet. The echo's roar rose up from the floor, the kind I couldn't ignore or entrap behind doors. And the echo's body was covered in sores, thick drops of sin oozed out from its pores. They depicted in detail a worldly life as the echo unsheathed a very sharp knife. Then placed the blade point just under my chin and prepared to cut so that I'd bleed out my sin. And so that sin would stain permanent my skin, rendering me helpless and useless again. Now, are you baffled because your logical mind thinks bleeding out sin is a gift I ought to enshrine? Exercise those evils to release the bind? Start afresh and anew with Jesus Christ cosign? See, I thought that too. Thought that I could transfuse the experiences of my life with those less apt to confuse, those seeking out the differences between falses and truths, those perusing before choosing their spiritual muse. Dear Lord, I always prayed, what will people say when they found out I struggle to keep sin's henchmen at bay? What will they say if they learn that not one single day passes by to the next without my eyes going astray? 2 weeks ago I drank one too many beers, and the next day I looked haggard in one too many mirrors. Among my peers it's expected that I'm up by 2 tears, but the pillars of that pedestal are constructed of fears. If those peers know my truths, will they stray from you, Lord? If their salvation is a mother, am I the umbilical cord? Will my failures on every front earn me a double-edged sword because they show I need Jesus, but that I ought be ignored? I don't think I can take those kind of risks. People don't need to know that my dad uses fists. They don't need to know that my first marriage failed, and they don't need to know that I stole cash and got nailed. They don't need to know that I was the bully in school, and they don't need to know that my mom made me feel like a fool. No, I'm better off blanket stating that my life was hard, that I've been both physically and emotionally scarred, but that Jesus is true, coming to make all things new, and that he died for my sins, and he died for yours too. See, but then the words of Revelation sprang up from the page. The echo took shape and formed an audible rage. It sprouted 2 horns and broke free from its cage. The evil one grabbed a verbal revolver, 666 is the gauge. He spewed venom and grabbed my tongue with accusation about my disqualification from salvation's equation. He called me a junkie with a past burned and tattered, said that I didn't matter, whispered, your credibility shattered. He taunted me, suggested I keep my story to myself. He said, Jesus' rep is on the line and your life is stench and filth. But the sovereign Lord of the universe then pushed me a verse that serves as the precurse for the enemy's hearse. Revelations 12:11 proclaims that testimony's power is one of the tools God will use to make Lucifer cower. And that same testimony will serve as the one flower in the shamed and guilty heart of God's child gone sour. And since none of us is equipped to know the last hour, we must soak a dry land with a testimonial shower. We must clear the phlegm from our throats and the cobwebs from our eyes and cease to agonize about the world's prize. In the race for the kingdom, there's no second place and no ties, and there's no compromise for the man who denies the call from the Lord to weaponize his story. Don't swallow your tongue if you think that yours is too gory. See, the Bible is filled with all manner of sin. Some mild, some off the charts on a scale of 0 to grim. But no matter the severity, Jesus never flinches once. Don't forget, he's all-seeing in his omnipotence. So, knowing you can't hide, It can be only pride that compels you to bury your life's truth deep inside. But that pride is what allows the enemy a foothold in the lives of your brethren who need to be told that your life was shackled in darkness for so long that even masking agents no longer seem wrong. But out of that grief and the pain and the tears, Jesus Christ remained faithful and redeemed all those years. He pulled you near, embraced you in your fear. And together you stood firm to drown out the echo, and that unbreakable bond for us to echo to let go.